Welcome everyone to another weekly Slab. This is episode 20 here on the SlabStox YouTube channel and podcast. My name is Aaron, one of your hosts, and today we are here to talk about the NBA playoffs. Nate, there's been some interesting series so far, has there not been?
There has. Teams that hypothetically are better on paper than they are in real life. Shout out to the Nets. Teams that traded for guys that haven't really done too much. Shout out James Harden, even though the 76ers are still winning. And teams that are losing key players. Shout out the Bucks and still putting a beat down on the Bulls. So it's been a little bit of everything in the early going.
I love it. So we're going to look at 2 cards per series, 1 card on each team, or at least 1 player on each team. In general, for today's episode, we will be looking at their Prism Silvers. And the reason why is just because it's pretty standard across all the players. Obviously, a player like Mike Conley doesn't have like a rookie silver Prism, but we'll look at a different card for him and someone like, a Scotty Barnes who would have like a Prism draft picks or an elite rookie numbered up 999 now. But in general, remember, Prism Silver is not the only cards in the market. In general, now in the card market, they're not even the most desirable thing like they were 2 years ago. So definitely look elsewhere, I would say, if you're looking to pick up cards of players, numbered stuff, maybe autographs, patches, whatever you want to get. But Nate, what, Nate?
I said correct, but we are just trying to keep it consistent. So
Correct, absolutely. And we will be using Card Ladder Pro for the data today to look at their trends over the last 3 months, which encapsulates both the recent performance in the playoffs and kind of leading up to the playoffs to see what the trajectory was like. So Nate, let's just get it kicked off. What's the first series we're looking at?
all right, so numero uno is the Celtics and the Nets. And honestly, I don't have much to say on the Celtics. We knew they were a good team going in. They weren't scared. They didn't dodge the Nets like the Bucks did. And I'd more like to talk about the Nets because we knew the Celtics were going to be good. The Nets were hypothetically good on paper, kind of like the Dodgers every year. If you won World Series or NBA championships for being the best team on paper, the Nets would have won, right? But that's not how it works in any sport. And you look at the Nets and they just lost 4-0. 4-0. And you have the distraction of Ben Simmons joining the team and then not playing. And, he was like, I'm not there mentally. And I don't want to like harass anybody for mental health, right? What I will say is this: Tiger Woods broke his legs, almost died, almost lost his legs, and came back and played golf. Ben Simmons has not come back to play basketball.
Here's the thing: it's like if you don't want to play, if you have issues are preventing you from playing mentally or physically, that's fine. But when you are trying to collect check after check after check and then suing previous teams who you didn't go show up to play for and then they didn't pay you, that's where it becomes a pause. It's like, okay, fine, if you don't want to play, you don't want to play, but when you're supposed to be getting like $180 million contract, that just doesn't add up. You gotta go play to receive your money, right? Like that's the thing here. And I did want to pull up quick with this. Kevin Durant had a great last game that they ended up losing. Great in some sense. Of course, he missed a bunch of shots at the end, but put up a bunch of points and better than his other games, I should say. Still led to the sweep. But his 2007 Topps Finest base rookie PSA 10 has really taken a tumble even as soon as the last sale, which I think is just going to be like the first of what we're going to see for his cards maybe going forward, because now it's down to $240. As soon as March 2nd, a month and a half or so ago, it's $485. In general, in the last 3 months, it's down 43%. So if you have KD rookies, Nate, what's your recommendation if you're holding Kevin Durant cards right now?
Oh man, I don't really know. Is he going to stay on the Nets? Is he a net for a while now? Is he going to try to force his way out of town? Because if he's still on that team and you still have the distractions of Ben Simmons and Kyrie Irving, that's a problem. Now, if Kyrie Irving and Ben Simmons just go out and play and don't become distractions, then I do think that there is still huge potential for this team, obviously. So I guess it's what you think about the Nets is what you should think about Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I don't really have a great solution one way or another. All I know is that selling right now would most likely lead to a loss if you bought it anytime within the last year or two, most likely. But let's move on to the next one. Nate, Drew's going to the Bucks and the Bulls right now because I just pulled up Grayson Allen.
Yeah, let's go into the Bucks and the Bulls. So the Bucks and the Bulls, game 1, kind of iffy. Bucks pull it out. Game 2, Bulls put their big three put a beat down on the Bucks, and it was like, oh, I mean, they didn't win by a ton, but they were up huge at certain points of the game. And it seems like the Bucks weren't really taking it seriously. And now you go into game 3 and game 4 without Chris Middleton because he sprained his MCL. And the Bucks woke up and were like, wait, we're better than this team. We shouldn't have lost this game too. Let's go out and destroy them. And that's what they did. And in large part, thanks to Grayson Allen, of all people. Sometimes you expect when you have quality NBA players across the board, which the Bucks do, you would kind of expect like one or two of them to maybe have a big game. A Wes Matthews will have a random big game in the playoffs. A Brooke Lopez will have a random big game or two in the playoffs, but you can't expect it every day. And yet, Pat Connaughton, guys like that. Well, then Grayson Allen comes out and he has back to back. He has 0 points in game 1, 3 points in game 2. Chris gets injured. Grayson Allen in game 3 and game 4, 22 points and 6 rebounds in game 3, 27 points, 2 rebounds, and 3 steals in game 4 to help the Bucks secure 2 huge victories. Like those are the type of games that Grayson Allen has like one of them in him probably because he's a competent NBA player, but you're not expecting 2 back to back, and that was huge,
And
huge
two on
for
the
the Bucks.
road. Two on the road in a hostile environment too for him, which is
Well,
big.
I think Grayson probably thrives in a hostile environment.
That's the point too, is that it's like kind of feeds off of it. And I love it. Looking at his 2018 Prism Silver PSA 10, this is only a pop 225, which is like extremely low compared to any other star player like Luka or Trey, but because his value is not as high as that. So just keep in mind that this card will swing faster in value than a Luka or a Trey. Started at $63 on January 29th, dropped all the way down to $21.50, but now back up to 46 after some big performance. So yeah, down $17 in the last 3 months. But ever since that $21.50, it's over doubled. So obviously people excited about at least Grayson Allen putting in some big performances and really when the Bucks need it the most too, which is awesome to see.
Yeah.
Next
And
player is Patrick Williams. Anytime about Patrick Williams.
Pat will. So, I wanted to kind of focus on young guys here. The Bulls are pretty old. DeMar DeRozan, Vukovic. Levine's not old, but he's also not young and exciting anymore either, right? He's in his mid-20s.
Exciting maybe, but young and exciting. I guess it's not the
Yeah,
combo.
yeah, yeah. He is exciting. Don't get me wrong. He's just not young and exciting. And so we went with Patrick Williams, and it's been a mixed bag for him. Obviously, he missed a large chunk of this season due to injury. Game 1 of the playoffs, 5 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Not a great game from him. But then game 2, 10 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal. Pretty good game. Then game 3, a poor game from him, 1 point on a free throw, which is ridiculous, and went 0 for 4 from the field. 4 rebounds, assists, 2 steals, a block. Like he got a little bit of everything, but it just wasn't a good game. But then game 4, obviously they got blown out, but he did go for 20 points on 7 of 13 shooting with 10 rebounds. A pretty good game from him. And like, are these numbers you're going to write home about? No, they are not. But did he miss a ton of his second season and come into a team that he hasn't probably had a ton of time to play with and is putting up meaningful minutes in the playoffs? Yes. And so for me, if I'm a Bulls fan, I'm just looking at this. I'm saying, hey, he's performing pretty well. He barely got any time this season. I'm excited for the future with Patrick Williams.
Yeah, and if you look at this chart here, this is on his 2020 Prism Silver Raw, so non-graded card. It's all over the place. It looks like a wacky heartbeat monitor here. And I would say you look at the low points, $15, and then at every single trough here, it's like 20 around there. And then you look at the high points, 35 and one hit 40 along the way. The bottom ones, not centered cards. The ones at the top, centered cards. So if you have a not centered Prism Silver Patrick Williams, expect around $15. If it's like moderately centered but a little off, 23, and then probably at the height you're thinking like 35 to 40 at the best for Patrick Williams Silver Raw. So it's really hard to track, the sales of raw cards when there's so much variance to them. You can't just give it a 10, a 9, whatever. But you can at least see a trend here based on condition, I'd say.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, I misspoke. I did say Patrick Williams went 0 for 4 in his third game. I was looking at 3-pointers. He actually went 0 for 9,
I
which
was
is
gonna say,
significantly worse.
I thought it was more than 0 for 4, but that makes sense now. 0 for 9. Yeah. Not a great game at all.
No.
Not a great game. So hopefully tonight, Wednesday, actually, as we're recording this, the Bucks do play the Bulls in game 5 at home. Hopefully we see a huge closeout performance here from Giannis or whoever wants to contribute. I guess Grayson Allen, maybe 3 in a row. And we're moving on to the next round against the Celtics, which will be a fun matchup, no doubt.
Correct.
Next up, we've got some game last night that was, Nate. I know you were live on Whatnot selling some baseball cards, but man, that Grizzlies Timberwolves game, Timberwolves blow another double-digit lead and lose. That would have been a massive victory on the road to go back home in game 6 and close it out in front of the Target Center, which I expect that they would have done, but now it's very sketchy what's going to happen the rest of the series.
We're gonna start with the Grizzlies here, and then I'm gonna get on to Karl Anthony Towns and harass him. But let's start with the Grizzlies. Desmond Bane, the pride of TCU, Big 12 country, Aaron, Big 12.
Yep.
A star from the Big 12. I don't remember seeing any really good Big 10 players in this series. Shout out Jaren Jackson Jr. with his 12 points the other night. Trash.
Dude, he's playing some excellent defense, at least from the
I'm
blocking standpoint.
I'm just kidding. I'm messing with you.
I know.
Anyways, so Desmond Bane, it's pretty interesting here that you look at his points per game, and it's 17, 16, 26, 34, 25. This is his second playoff series ever. Last year, he had 8, 5, 3, 7, and 5 in 5 games. This year, 17, 16, 26, 34, 25. But along with that, he's added a handful of rebounds, around 4 rebounds a game, and also maybe like 3 assists a game. I don't have his per game stats up here, but he's been pretty important. He's been shooting well from the field. He's been shooting well from 3, and he's been shooting well from free throw for this Grizzlies team that needs that scoring.
For sure, the most consistent player in the Grizzlies right now.
Correct.
He's
correct.
a stud.
And I can't get over the fact that he played at TCU. He's in the NBA. He's jacked. And he's dominating.
Man could start NFL safety for an NFL team.
He could.
So 2020 Prism Silver again. Nate's got here. This is the raw, not the graded copies. And I don't think they don't track any PSA 9s or 10s yet for Desmond Bane. Probably not enough grade to really get a solid read on. Anyway,
if there's a raw card in here, it's because it's not being a PSA 10 is not being tracked by Carlander yet.
Got you. Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, PSA 10s were hard to come by for 2020 Prism Silvers, and on top of that, when you have a player that's not worth hundreds of dollars like LaMelo or Anthony Edwards, more expensive to get graded. Probably not that many have gotten graded yet. But same deal here as the Patrick Williams. All over the place. Probably expect non-center copy to go for $22, center copy to go for around 35 to 40 to 45. Nave, it's me. Give me all the Desmond Bane Silvers over Patrick Williams.
Yeah, me too.
Because, I mean, I get that Patrick Williams is cheaper now, like the last sale based on whatever it was. But there have been some that have touched 40, and I get that Desmond Bane's a little bit more expensive than that now. 48 was the last sale, or 36 was the last sale here technically.
48 for last auction.
Oh, okay. I got you. But either way, give me the Desmond Banes.
Hey, real quick question. Just play a little bit of devil's advocate here. So you got to assume that DeMar DeRozan probably going to be gone at some point. Old Vukovic, not looking very impressive in this Bucks series. He has been making some threes. But Patrick Williams is young and definitely could be the face of that franchise with Zach LaVine. Do you think Desmond Bane, who is also young, but Ja's such a big personality that the Bulls don't have somebody like that, do you think that is going to play a factor in their markets in the future, say 3 years down the line?
Yeah, I mean, hey, if Patrick Williams is the star of the Bulls and kind of like teaming up with maybe a little bit older Zach LaVine, I'm sure that his stuff could be, higher potential at the, buying right now for the future. Desmond Bane is just so good and so consistent and is going to play on a top Western Conference team, we presume, for the next, 5 to 7 years. So he might move teams. Who knows? I don't really know what's going to happen. But my point is that I think that his situation is more solid, way less risky. But Patrick Williams, sure, if you're trying to buy for high potential, could be a crazy buy. Next up, Nate, here we go. Go at it.
Karl Anthony Towns. If you know anything about me and you've heard any of my basketball takes, which you might not have because I don't usually share them on these things. I have plenty of them. but I do usually cover baseball. It's that Karl-Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins were probably two of my most disliked people or players in the NBA. Wiggins, because I thought he had oodles of potential on defense and just couldn't be bothered to try. Kansas boy himself, and I love the Kansas Jayhawks, so I was disappointed in him. And Karl-Anthony Towns, because people were talking about him being a unicorn with Kristaps and Giannis and all these guys, Ben Simmons,
Well,
and
he's
it's
better than Kristaps, I'll tell you that much.
He's better than Kristaps. He's better than Ben Simmons. It's actually funny to see all those unicorns and look fast forward 4 years, and it's like, oh wait, it was really just Giannis this entire time. Um, but they were talking like top 15 player this, unicorn that, and he couldn't lead his team to the playoffs. I'm like, if you are the one of the top like 15 players in the league, and there's 16 teams that make the playoffs, you have to be able to will your team to the playoffs by yourself. At least that's how I view it. If you truly are one of the best players in the league, and he wasn't doing it. And then this year things changed for him. He got more aggressive. The team got better. They had Pat Bev and Anthony and his buddy D'Angelo and Jared Vanderbilt and guys like that. So a lot better team around him. They finally make the playoffs. And then he gets into the playoffs in game 1, good, 29 points. But then game 2 and game 3, 2 games that they lost, he takes 7 shots in game 2 and 4 shots in game 3. Now, I did not watch these games.
I did.
So you could tell me if he was getting double teamed constantly, if it was a defensive scheme that the Grizzlies were throwing out against him. Obviously, Jaren Jackson Jr. is an insanely good defensive player. And if he was covering Karl-Anthony Towns, maybe that's the issue. Jaren Jackson led the league in blocks and blocks per like 36 and blocks plus steals, stocks. So like he is really, really good defender. But if you're Karl-Anthony Towns and your team is in the playoffs for the first time since 2018, and then like for the first time since like 2004 or something, you have to be more assertive. You cannot take 11 shots over the course of 2 games that you lost, and still consider it to be your team and be one of the best players in the league. I just refuse to accept that.
His situational awareness was like one of the worst I've ever seen. Like you wouldn't believe the fouls he was committing when he had 4 in the third, or like his 5th or something, in the 4th in one of those games. He fouled out so early in one of them. He was like going after an old board on a guy that clearly had the rebound and then just like bodied him, ran over a different guy for his 5th foul. It just like didn't make any sense to me. I've been a Cat fan for a long time, so I'm a little still like Cat fan, but at the same time it's like, bro, if you don't win this series, there's pretty clearly some reasons to point to for because literally the Wolves could have won it in 5 games.
Yeah,
there's no question they could have been done last night if they would have obviously closed it out last night on Tuesday and then won. I think it was whichever game they lost, blew a 25-point lead. I think it was, or 2 25-point leads.
Game 3, I believe.
Game 3, yeah. So
they
lost game 3.
The worst part about that is that they lost by 9. Game 3, they lost by 9. He took 4 shots. Like, to give him props, he scored 33 in their game 4 win, and he scored 28 in their 2-point loss last night. So like that wasn't on him. 28 points on 7 of 15 shooting, pretty decent. 9 of 9 from free throw, 12 rebounds, 3 steals, 2 blocks. 7 turnovers is not great, but usually if you have the ball more, you're turning the ball over more. That's just how it goes in the NBA with superstars. You look at Giannis, you look at LeBron, you look at the turnovers they have. They usually have a ton. So like, yes, he got better in the last 2 games, but that game 3, you lose by 9. Your best player takes 4 shots. If they lose that series, you can circle Karl-Anthony Towns' name in that game and say, dude, you had to be. I know he had 5 fouls in 32 minutes, but he had to be more assertive, and he wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather have him be assertive on offensive end than to go and try to get well, I mean, technically his offensive end, but make a stupid old board decision. Looking at his 2015 Prism Silver PSA 10. Now, this is a decently rare card when talking about silvers. There's only 139 graded as a PSA 10, which is super low. Obviously compared to thousands of Lucas, thousands of Zions, excuse me, whichever player you want to look at. But in the last 6 months, so I went 6 months here back to the beginning of the season, because I would say in general, this was Towns's breakout year from the standpoint of, yes, leading team to the postseason, shooting amazing numbers from the field and stuff, which he has done for years now. But in general, like, he just recently had a bounce back on this card and still really hasn't taken him to the preseason value. So there were high expectations coming into the year, 1,125. Bottomed out around 576, which kind of happened with a lot of NBA players. It just kind of happens in the course of the year for dudes who aren't like John Morant. And then recently has bounced back up to on April 21st, $900. But I would expect the next time this comes up for sale, especially if they lose this series, you're going to see it go back down to 500 quite quickly, Nate, huh? I assume.
I would say so. I would, and I do think they're going to lose this series. I really do.
I think it'll be in 7 games. I don't think they're going to be able to win game 7 on the road, but I think they'll get game 6 at home. I can't see them losing, that elimination game in front of the home crowd like that, but
I can.
Okay, I say I can't see it, but I can see it. I just feel like that they won't. I guess
This is Minnesota sports we're talking about.
No joke. Maybe they can run that luck though from last night's
There
game.
there is nothing like it.
I know.
Outside of the Minnesota Miracle, what has Minnesota done, and any sports franchise outside of the Lynx that says to you, yeah, I think they got this?
Oh, trust me, nothing. I mean, I lived there for 10 years and I have friends that still adore Minnesota's, obviously sports teams and stuff. And every single time that they choke, classic Minnesota sports.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and by the way, I did misspeak before during the intro of this episode, because there was another team that has gotten eliminated at this point, and it is the Hawks and Trae Young. Nate,
Oof.
Last night, I've never seen more 5th grade basketball NBA game than the last 30 seconds of the Hawks game. If anyone watching, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They are basically down 3, 30 seconds left. And, like, normally here's your deal. You're going to go try to get a quick 2. And then either get to the free throw line, make the bucket. I guess you can miss it, obviously. But if you get points, you have a chance to follow them, get the ball back, all that stuff. They run the clock from 30 seconds down to 5.
Oh,
down to 5 seconds.
No.
Yes, Gallinari takes, and then guess what? At 5 seconds, at that point, you have to shoot a 3. Like, you're an idiot if you shoot it 2. They pass it to Gallinari basically in the short corner, and he shoots a jumper that bricks. Okay, so then the ball gets tipped out of bounds and it goes actually to the Hawks. So I'm like, okay, they get a second chance at redemption. Okay, let's watch the worst 25 seconds. Why would you take a 2 with 5 seconds left? Then they run an inbounds play from pretty much the actual dead corner of the court, which is a tough spot to inbound on. I'm not gonna lie. They run 4 dudes to the corner that the ball is getting passed in on, and they pass it to the, like, dude, I'm saying like a foot in front of the guy that's throwing it in, to Gallinari in the corner, who gets double teamed and trapped, and they didn't get a shot off.
Oh,
if you're a Hawks fan listening to this, I am sorry. I feel bad for you. That had to be just agonizing to watch, I'm sure. But they were losing by over 10 again, and they somehow came back to even make it a game. But yeah, I don't know, Nate, what stats you got? It was just terrible.
Well, real quick, Nate McMillan, love the guy because we share a name. Impressive run last year. But man, this season was tough for him and the Hawks. I do question if he keeps his job, but we will go quick through the rest of these games because these are games I would consider to be less exciting than the other matchups. But Trae Young, we got to talk about Trae Young. He had an 8-point game, a 9-point game, and an 11-point game in the playoffs. Again, same thing with Karl-Anthony Towns, except that at least Trae Young's led his team to the Eastern Conference Finals. If you're going to do that, and he did, if you're going to do that, you can't, if you're going to be a top player, you cannot have games like that. You cannot have 8, 9, and 11-point games in the playoffs when you need wins.
Nope.
And he had an 0 for 7 from 3 game, a 1 for 12 from the field, and an 0 for 5 from 3 game with a 2 for 12 from the field, and also a 3 for 11 from the field. Atrocious.
Yeah. And if we're looking at this, I'm going to go to 3 months again on this card, but 2018 Prism Silver PSA 10, it hasn't really been too pretty. This season or in the last 3 months in general, $692 is the last sold price, which was actually April 25th at this point, so before elimination. And it's down 33% in the last 3 months. That price is dropping quite significantly fast. I think that there's so much tied to, that he just led the league in total points and total assists the first time it's been done in forever in a regular season. And yet, clearly, even some of his rare stuff, like his rare stuff's probably not dropping this fast, but it's still not doing like super well because you still got all those Trey fanboys who are screaming for Trey to be undervalued compared to like Luka, which Luka's never won a postseason series until potentially this one against the Jazz. Trey obviously got to the Eastern Conference Finals, got hurt, but I don't think it matters, man. If you don't play defense, and if you, this season you're like last season was clearly an outlier, I'd say. What does it matter if you made it Eastern Conference Finals if now in the present and for the future potentially it's not going to matter?
Yeah,
but I like Trey. I mean, I like Trey for a while, and I don't really know what happens next, but
what you just described is a "What have you done for me lately?" And the answer
exactly.
is 11 and 9 points in his last 2 games to lose in the playoffs.
And people are going to remember that for quite some time now, at least until next season. That's for
Yep.
sure. Other side of the ball, Jimmy
Other side of
Butler.
the ball, we've got the Heat, and there was a number of interesting players, but how could you go against Jimmy Butler? The dude didn't play in game 5. They still won. But in the 4 games he played, he put up 21 points, 45 points, 20 points, and 36 points. He also added in 31 rebounds in those 4 games, and he also added in 21 assists, and 11 steals in 4 games. Like, that's pretty impressive, to say the least. So for me, Jimmy Butler, I don't love the guy. I know he played at Marquette, and I did
Yeah.
kind of like him for a little bit when he was like, Karl-Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins are soft, and then got traded out of town, and then sure enough, they were soft. But I don't really like the guy anyways, and yet here we are talking about him because
How can
he's
you
just
not if he's
good.
doing big things like that?
Yeah, he's just
2012
good.
Prism. That's his rookie PSA 10. He actually was drafted in 2011. It's the combined rookie class, which I'm sure many of you, well, yeah, technically drafted in 2010, I guess, and played the 2010 11. No, sorry, 2011 2012 season. This is 2012 2013 Prism. They didn't have product for a year because of the lockout. And yeah, literally because of the lockout. And we've got his 2012 Prism based PSA 10. Kind of an interesting graph, not really much movement, 4% decrease in the last 3 months. However, in the last, let's look if we say 2 weeks, it's up 22%. So definitely some heat coming to the market in the short term. In general, I just don't feel like his collector base is that big because for a reason that I think is kind of similar to maybe MLB players go through this, but when you're on 4 teams in the span of like 6 years, wait, sorry, 4 teams? Yeah, well, Bulls, Wolves, Sixers, and now Heat. It really is hard to build like a massive collector base, and Kyrie Irving too, but that's a whole nother situation. So that's what we're looking at right now, $240. And if they make a run this year, who knows? I'm sure they'll get some heat. So
Hey,
I
did you
don't
know
have many
that
thoughts on him.
Jimmy Butler playing in his 85th, or this past game would have been his 85th playoff game.
Wow.
Pretty incredible.
That is a lot, actually. That is quite a bit.
Of course, Michael Bridges has played now 27, and he's
Speaking of
probably going
Michael
to play a lot
Bridges,
more. Yeah, let's move on
yeah,
to
let's
the
do it.
Suns and the Pelicans. And actually, these two guys that we got here kind of cut from the same cloth. Extreme defensive stoppers, some of the best in the NBA. And at least for Michael Bridges, expanding offensive game. And I really just want to talk about his game 5 because he had 31 points. Came into the league as a defensive stopper, putting up 31 points in the playoffs in a must-win game. Series tied 2-2. He went 31 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 blocks, and a steal as a guard wing. Pretty impressive. I don't know what else to say about it, but I really like Mikal Bridges.
I
I
know what I
really
have
love
to
his
say about it.
defense.
I have to say that the Sixers could have drafted him and did actually, and because they then traded him to the Suns. But man, he played at Villanova. And who better would know how good he is than the Philadelphia 76ers right down the road, or however close they are. And I feel like that's a major, major miss. I'm sure that any team probably multiple picks before that too, probably after Jaren Jackson Jr. would say a major miss as well. So,
Yeah.
man, he's a great player though. Great player. And not many of these things sell. His Prism Silver PSA 10. Four in the last 2 weeks is a decent amount. Actually, I was looking at 2 weeks. I thought I was looking at 3 months. Yeah, there is actually a pretty decent amount that have sold in the last 3 months. 53 sales, pretty much even overall, but a massive drop off on a 424 sale after it popped up to $120. So maybe we'll see some resurgence here after that big game 5, and if they close out this series, which I expect that they will now. Right, they're going on the road now to play game 6, and then maybe Pelicans get that because once again, a crazy arena, and in game 7 at home, if they lose, there's going to be some people calling for Devin Booker to be like kind of MVP, not really MVP, but you know what I'm saying? Like when you look like they're unstoppable and then you lose to the Pelicans, who were a play-in team.
Now, to be fair, the Pelicans were really bad at the start of the season, and then they got, they get CJ McCollum, and it's a different team from then on out.
You're right. You are right.
But that is a fair assessment, and if they had Devin Booker, there's no way this series is probably done.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But moving on to the Pelicans, there is nobody more fun than Herb Jones. Herb Jones. Dude's name is Herb, Aaron. The dude's name is Herb. He is in the NBA in the year of 2022 with the name Herb.
I love it. Herbert.
And he's killing it. He is absolutely killing it in the playoffs. I'm trying to get Basketball Reference to work here a little bit. And in the series, he's averaging 11 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists in 4 games, which obviously not a ton to write home about, but it's the defensive end that has been unbelievable. I don't know if you saw on Twitter or watched the game live, his blocks he had on a couple of threes.
Yeah, the blocking campaign was one of the best blocks I've seen in like a closeout. Like when he took off, that ball was already like a foot in the air.
Yeah. It just wildly impressive. And the last 2 games, especially 2 steals, 3 blocks, and 2 steals and 2 blocks out of the guard position for a guard wing. I say guard, but there's no real guards anymore or wings anymore. It's all kind of fluid. But some of the most impressive defense I've seen.
What about his teammate?
Out of like a forward.
What about his teammate, Jose Alvarado? They got 2 dudes who, one undrafted free agent, Jose Alvarado. Next one, second round pick, Herb Jones of this season or this past draft. And bro, they're both putting in work for the Pelicans. And Willie Green, I think it's Willie Green. He is a excellent coach too to even have this team in the series too. Imagine, I'm sure everyone is, if Zion was on the court. Would love to see that.
Mm-hmm. Imagine if Devontae Graham was on the court.
Yeah, is he hurt right now?
No, he's just not very good.
I was wondering that, dude. Jose Alvarado taking minutes from Devontae Graham.
Also, what are you going to do? You're going to have Devontae Graham try to cover
CP3?
CP3? Bloodbath.
He get cooked. Herb Jones, Nate's guys, 2018 or not 2018, 2021 Prism Draft pick silver here, 1550 last sale. I also know that his elite rookie, the foil, numbered up 999, which are actually pretty cool looking cards. So for like $20 the other day, they're like $8 like a week ago. So definitely people scooping up his cheap cards right now with not much released, but Revolution releases today in case anyone wants to look at that. Maybe find a parallel of Herb Jones if you're a huge fan of him. So we got 3 series left, and we definitely cannot cover these things at length like we have the previous 5.
Yeah, let's move quick. Let's move quick. Jazz. Mavs. Jalen Brunson, obviously amazing. 24 points, 41 points, 31 points, 23 points, 24 points in the 5 games they played. They've won 3 of them. Shout out Jalen Brunson and Villanova again. Shout out Jay Wright for retiring and therefore cementing Bill Self as the clear-cut best coach in college basketball.
Before you move too quickly, I said, hey, we got to get a little quicker, but you just like went on like, I don't know, 200 miles per hour right there, just like a Ferrari. His Jalen Brunson's 2018 Prism Silver PSA 10. This one at least needs to be talked about because this and Jordan Poole are the 2 biggest trending cards, I'd say, right now in the market. $400 for the last sale. $400. If you go back to January 27th, $87 card.
Wow.
A day ago, April 26th, $400. That is 360% in 3 months. I don't even want to know what this thing sold for at one time. The cheapest, $15.50. That's insane.
So crazy to me.
That's insane.
And hey, this is back-to-back guys. Jalen Brunson, 2nd round pick, 3rd pick in the 2nd round. Herb Jones, 5th overall pick in the 2nd round. You go back to like a Malcolm Brogdon, guys like that. There's so much talent in these second rounds, and I don't understand why people are passing some of these guys up, especially Jalen Brunson. He was a champion
Yeah.
at
No, he
Villanova,
was showing out in the tournament.
and yet passed up.
Josh Hart too was passed up all those years or all those picks.
It's wild. It's
I've
wild.
got Mavs in 6. They're gonna close it out. Luka's back fully. They're gonna do it. Jazz or Mavs in 6.
I like it.
Next, Tyrese Maxey and the 76ers. We'll skip Mike Conley.
Well, wait. Just real quick. Mike Conley been atrocious in the playoffs. When you're paying a dude a ton of money, you got to have him play well. And he is averaging 8 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, and shooting 31% from the field and 21% from 3. Not good.
No, not good. Okay, now the Sixers.
Yeah.
Went up 3-0 in this series against the Raptors. Raptors were close one of those games. Now that stuff with Embiid, having to have surgery in the offseason. I mean, playing through a thumb injury can't be fun, especially when you use it an insane amount like Joel Embiid does. I mean, any basketball player, but a guy that touches the ball that much, I guess. But Tyrese Maxey, you've got down here, Nate. I'm just going to give his stats really quick in the Prism Silver PSA 10. Last 3 months, clearly this dude has came on and played well, even with the presence of Harden. $445 February 1st. Now it's $750. Pop 60 PSA 10. If it were me, I would avoid this card at all costs. You can find really nice on-card autos of Tyrese Maxey for the same cost. And given that this pop is surely going to at least go up at some amount from 60, I would find something different. But Nate, what about Tyrese Maxey?
Just real quick, 38 points, 23 points, 19 points in his first 3 games. Those are all wins. He was actually plus 20 in the first game, and they won by 20. Plus 22 in the second game, they won by 15. Plus 8 in the third game, they won by 3. Then the last 2 games, he had 11 and 12 points. He was minus 12 in game 4. They lost by 8. Minus 16 in game 5, and they lost by 15. It at least from the outside looking in, it seems to me like how Tyrese Maxey goes is how the 76ers have been going in this
Well, I'll tell you
playoff.
this. I'm going to tell you this right now. Raptors are going to win game 6 in Toronto. Not losing that game. They're going to upset the Sixers game 7 in Philadelphia because Sixers like to choke in the postseason.
Nope, not going to happen. I still think there's just too much talent on this 76ers team to choke that hard.
Man, it'd be bad. Doc Rivers, people would want him gone.
Yep.
Are you going to talk about Scotty Barnes?
Yeah. Let's really quick talk about Scotty Barnes. Rookie of the year, Scotty Barnes. And I just find this interesting because, like, he hasn't really been doing what he did in the regular season. Obviously, he missed 2 games with an ankle injury, but he came back. He has an ankle injury. He's coming back, playing through it. Ben Simmons can't play through injuries. So, there's that. And but game 1, 15 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists. What a typical Scotty Barnes game. They lose by 20. The next 2 games that he played in, 6 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, and 12 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and they win both the games. I just wanted to shout out Scotty Barnes because he just does a little bit of everything, and I'm really excited to watch him. He's getting experience now, and I'm really excited to watch him, no matter if they win or lose, in the future, because this is a guy that just does a little bit of everything. And if he can keep increasing and become like a 20 point, 10 rebound, 5 assists guy with a couple steals and blocks, that's a super valuable player. And I'm very excited to watch him progress.
Yep. And recently, Prism Draft Pick Gold Shimmer Auto sold for $480. So clearly, that 2021 class doesn't have a lot of their cards out at this point, even though the regular season's already done. Thanks, Panini. And I would say hold off and wait, just like everyone else has to for the important cards that'll be released. Though.
Can you imagine that there was one guy earlier that was $15 for a Prism Draft Pick silver? I forget who it was.
Herb Jones.
What?
Herb Jones.
Herb Jones. And it's like, don't spend that $15.
No.
And here too, do not spend that $400+ I know it's a gold shimmer auto. Don't spend it. Don't spend it. Wait for Prism, wait for Optic, wait for Select to come out, and then spend that money. You're just throwing away money at this point.
If you really need to, I'd even just go after a Contenders on card auto in there, because that has released up to this point, or Revolution, parallel. You can probably get like an out of 50 of Scotty Barnes for a couple $100 after like the first month of release. So I just do that. Warrior Series. Jordan Poole, the darling of the
Wait, let's start
postseason.
with Jokic and then go to Poole.
Okay, fine. You're going different from the list, though.
I know, but let's end on Poole because he's from Milwaukee and he's
All right.
exciting.
We'll do that. We'll do that.
Really quick, Jokic obviously has been good in the playoffs. 25 points, 26 points, 37 points, 37 points. Also 10 rebounds, 11 rebounds, 18 rebounds, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 assists, 5 assists, 6 assists. And he's also even added in 7 steals in the series. Like, he's been really good. But the thing about it is when you're missing your second and third best players, it's really hard to beat any team. Like, if the Bucks were missing Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton, it'd be hard to even beat the Bulls, let alone beat the Warriors with a fully healthy team and a Jordan Poole that's blowing up. So I'm impressed. I'm impressed that they even won one game.
I agree with that for sure. 9% decrease in Jokic, Prism Silver PSA 10. Obviously, that's not like any crazy change, but what can you say when you don't have any teammates, or at least you know side stars like Chris and Drew? Not much you can do, like Nate said. So we'll see. Maybe next year, a fully healthy team will make a difference for them.
Yeah. And then let's end off on Jordan Poole. And actually, Aaron, you love Jordan Poole. You want to take this one?
Oh, sure. Jordan Poole, my guy, man. He's so much fun to watch. Played at Rufus King in Milwaukee. 2019 Prism Silver PSA 10, $816 for his Prism Silver PSA 10 in the last sale. This thing topped out at $989, which is crazy. Like, this is nuts what we're looking at right now. I have all the respect in the world for Jordan Poole. I think his rare card selling for a lot of money is justifiable right now based on how good he's doing in that Warriors lineup. But this type of card going from $175 up to $900, $1,000. Clearly, the previous 3 sales now have all dropped from there. $989 to $939 to $901 to $815. Very much so expect this thing, even during the postseason, even if he's playing well, to quickly go back to $600, probably quickly go back to $500 before we even know it too. So my recommendation, Jordan Poole. I would love to add a Jordan Poole card to my collection because of how good he is and everything. And being from Milwaukee, I don't know why I don't have loads of them already, but that's beside the point. Folks, I've been buying soccer and other stuff, Formula One. But if you are looking for Poole, and this is going to be my strategy potentially, just wait until the offseason. There's no reason why not to at this point. I mean, the only thing you could say is maybe there's a miracle chance that they go on a run and win the finals, which it probably isn't that big of a miracle at this point with how the Grizzlies haven't looked like super solid. The Suns, without Devin Booker, haven't either. So maybe there's a chance, and he has massive performances, gets a finals MVP, but odds are saying that wait till the summer to buy Jordan Poole if you want to.
And I agree. And just stats wise, 30 points, 29 points, 27 points in his first 3 games. He's there to score. He's scoring. It was very impressive. Last game, 11 points. They lost by 5. He was -6 on the day. So, he has a little bit better game. They win that game. If he doesn't shoot 3 for 10, 1 for 5 from 3, they probably win that game. So it's impressive. He's a young player on a star-studded veteran team, and yet he's as important of a player as anybody there.
Okay, last thing here. That was it for the card coverage. But last thing on the NBA playoffs is, Nate, I want you to pick, and then I will pick. Which teams right now do you think are going to, well, I was going to say end up in the Eastern Conference Finals, but maybe I'll word this differently. Of the series that are at 3-2, which is the 76ers, Raptors, Mavs, Jazz, Suns, Pelicans, and Grizzlies, Timberwolves, which team that has 2 wins has the best chance to make a conference finals?
Conference finals.
So you're talking about the Raptors, Jazz, Pelicans, and Wolves. I'm talking about the 2-win teams.
Yeah. I gotta go with Raptors and Jazz probably. I don't really believe in the Jazz, but the Mavs have been one of the best defensive teams this year, and I know they didn't have Luka, but you're hoping that maybe going up against some weaker defensive teams that they can bounce back a little bit, especially the Conleys of the world. So I would have to go with Jazz just because I can't pick the Pels.
Yeah.
Right. Or the Wolves. I just think the Wolves are a little bit too young, even though the Grizzlies are younger than they are. And then obviously There's only one on
Well,
the Eastern
I
Conference
was gonna
side.
say like either conference. So basically, pick between the Raptors and the Jazz.
Oh, well, then I'm definitely choosing the Raptors.
Okay, got you. They would have to go through the next series. They have to beat the Heat to get to the conference finals, which beat the 76ers. Maybe it's possible. So I'd
Yeah.
say more possible than the Jazz beating, what would it be, the Warriors, I think.
Yeah, I don't have any confidence in the Jazz, but if it was between the Jazz, the Pelicans, and the T-Wolves, I'm choosing the Jazz.
Actually, it would be Jazz over Suns if the Suns win that series, I believe. So yeah, I would have more confidence in the Raptors for sure. But that's it for our NBA hot knot section for the week. If you have any thoughts on the NBA card market, feel free to drop them in the comments. Otherwise, we're going to get on to a Flip Quest 2022 segment right now. This Sunday at 8:45 p.m. Central Time, 9:45 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to be live on YouTube as always to do our Flip Quest episode, and this is number 15 this week here on the PWCC Weekly Auction. So before jumping into some cards, well, actually one card from Flip Quest that we have ending on Sunday, and then we have one other card selling too, which I'll talk about. I just want to briefly go over, if you missed the Sunday live stream or didn't watch it yet, the 4 cards we purchased for the Flip Quest run. So first one here, Nate, just talk us through 30 seconds. Why is this Julio a good buy at 1,140? This is a blue refractor out of 150. First Bowman Chrome PSA 10.
When everyone zigs, you zag, and people are selling Julio because of his slow start, but there is some underlying stats that point to a good major league career still that he hasn't had in the early going. So when people are going to sell low, you buy low and then sell high later. So that's what we did here.
Yeah, I was a big fan of that blue purchase. Used to have some Julio back in the day, but obviously when Nate says go for it, we go for it in baseball. And then the one that I picked out was the George Russell. This is the Sapphire 70th anniversary. PSA 7, numbered out of 70. So there's a lot of 70 that's going on there, even with the PSA 7. It was 1,110. For those of you that don't know about the Sapphire Formula One cards and the Topps Chrome Formula One cards from 2020, if it's a serial number, a color card, it's got bad back damage. There's very few that came out of the press, even as a PSA 9. Very few get PSA 10s, but this one happens to be a 7. And I'm confident about this one for the sole reason that he is Mr. Consistency right now. That Mercedes car is not even driving that well or fast. And he's gotten top 5 every single race this year, the only driver to do so. So rookie car from 2020, first year Mercedes this year. And I'm just really excited about that one. Then we got 2 more here on the right. First is a noir split screen LeBron and Zion. This is a gold frame numbered out of 11, the first off the line version as an SGC 8.5. Metal frame, tough to grade those sometimes. And then we've got Jared Kelnick. That is a cracked ice auto numbered out 24 that's 2017 Elite Extra Edition, but it's actually a Contenders auto, SGC 9 with the 10 auto. And come on, $48. Hey, how can we turn this thing down? It's beautiful.
We can't. If it doesn't work out, we've got a sweet Wisconsin-born player auto on card, and if it does work out, well, perfect. It was only $48.
Well, except for the fact it's not
It's
on
not
card
on
auto.
card? Oh,
It's
man,
not
that
it's
looks
not
on
on card
card to
auto,
me.
but it looks like it. Hey, that sticker's hidden really well. I will say that. But that's the 4 that we added, and that Zion and LeBron. Hopefully next year there's a lot of hype for Zion coming into the season fully healthy, and maybe the Lakers make a move in the offseason to help out LeBron's end of career winning, maybe, and then maybe flip that for a lot more. And now let's check out what we're selling on this Sunday's number 15. So both the cards we have ending this Sunday, we did submit to the flash auction with around, I think, 8 days left in the auction. So the Chris Paul, we just put in there the 05 Finest Green Refractor numbered out of 89 BGS 9.5. I think either way, it'll be a good time to sell it this Sunday. We got a pretty good buy when he was injured. It was like $600, I think. I can't imagine it's going to sell for lower than that. Some of his rare stuff has been selling really well. He had one really, not great game. I think that was in game 4, but he was really pretty decent last night in game 5. And game 3, he was out of this world good. And either way, I mean, I have to imagine they win the series. He plays well to win the series. They lose the series. Well, it's definitely not going to be worth more in the next 6 months. So, Nate, do you kind of think that too?
I agree.
Definitely.
Definitely.
It seemed like the
It'd
right
be a
time
risk holding it past this point, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. And who knows? Maybe they go and win the finals, then we look stupid. But we'll try it and see what happens. The second card here actually is not ours. What this card is right here, 2019 Prism Silver LeBron James PSA 10. If anyone joins the live stream on Sunday night, you might know someone by the name of, I think it's Brody Gray Collectibles, right, Nate? Is that the full name in the YouTube stream?
I think so.
I'm probably asking the wrong guy, but his name's Damien in real life, and he donated this card to the Flip Quest to be sold, but not for us, for Camp Kesem, for the kids to go to camp for free. whose parents have or had cancer. And we did a bunch of charity work last year with that. We plan on doing again this year at the national / leading up to the national. And this card right here, whatever it sells for, is going to get donated to Cam Cassim. So if you do want to help support, go on to the PWCC weekly auction number 15, type in 2019 Prism LeBron James Silver PSA 10, and it is the one with the serial number on PSA label. The last 3 is 404, and whatever money you bid on this card will go to the kids for Cam Cassim. Weekly auction number 15 is a huge deal in my opinion. We have bids on 350 cards. Now, that doesn't mean, obviously, like I said, we're going to win even 10 of those, but what it does mean is that, like, there's a lot of cards that I placed a bet on that we want to watch on Sunday night on our live stream, and for good reason, because there's an insane amount of cards in here that are awesome. And that doesn't just mean the expensive ones either. There's awesome cards there, under 50 or probably under $50, under $100, whichever budget range fits you. But the ones that we're going to call out here are 2 massive ones, so probably not going to be able to buy them, at least us or people listening. But I want to call out this one right here, this Jude Bellingham 2020 Topps Chrome Superfractor variation, 1/1 rookie PSA 9. So this came out of like the Champions League Topps Chrome set, but this card was printed after his Bundesliga Topps Chrome Superfractor, which would technically be his first Topps Chrome card. Now, this card did sell pretty recently. I think it was in December around there for around $30,000. And
Whoa.
yeah. So $30,000 is like clearly a lot of money. Now, this is not the only Superfractor out of the set. There's also the normal Topps Chrome Superfractor out of the set. So to me, like, this card alone isn't up there as one of his top 3 cards. There's, probably, I think there's also a Topps Chrome Superfractor Auto, which I would rather have. So this thing is going to sell for a lot, obviously, as it's already at 14,000. And I'm not trying to talk down this card like it's, it's worth whatever someone's willing to pay for, is really what comes down to for these 1/1s. And someone might be willing to pay $50,000, which is why I want to watch this one specifically, because Jude's obviously still a top young player in the world, plays on the English national team, probably going to make a move. And if he moves to somewhere like Liverpool, that'd be massive for his card market. Man United will pay him a bunch of money, but might not help out his performance. So I hope he doesn't go there. And we'll see what happens with this. But it's at 14K. I just want to know, if you flip a, Topps Chrome Superfractor 1/1 within like 5 months, I just want to know what it goes for. I want to see how it does, and if that many more people are excited to get it a second time offered in 5 months. Because generally, when 1/1 sell for so much, I feel like it's, what everyone expects. It doesn't show up for 3-5 years. You got a whole nother buying group that's excited to get into it. But within 5 months, that's pretty close, right, Nate? Like, I haven't really seen a 1/1 Superfractor get sold that quickly of any top player.
Yeah, it's very strange because I feel like if you're buying a 1/1, especially expensive 1/1, it's a long-term investment, not a short-term flip.
Yeah.
And whoever bought this is using it like a short-term flip. So we'll see if the gamble pays off, but I'm doubtful.
Yeah, and who knows? Remember, everyone sells cards for different reasons. Wants to just get into a new card. That happens to me all the time. I like have a card that, sure, I think 2 years from now will be more valuable, but I want to get a different card. Like interest change and stuff. So not like the most surprising thing in the world. But Nate, and I just checked, it sold in November. So I just want to clarify, it sold in November of 2021 for 28,800, almost 30.
Okay.
Nate, what do you got here?
Well, then my card is the 2011 Bowman Chrome, not the Bowman Chrome draft, the Bowman Chrome Orange Mike Trout rookie, number 25, BGS 9. They say the baseball season, Aaron, does not start until Mike Trout is on tops of the AL in OPS. And what do you know? He's on top of the AL in OPS at 1233, and he's also 161% better than the league average in hitting. So while the rest of the league might be struggling to hit the baseball, Mike Trout is upping his game to another level at the tender age of 30. And I expect this card to go bonkers.
So the PSA 9 sold May 24th of 2021. So that's the last time we've had publicly an orange refractor of the number 175. Like Nate said, the Bowman Chrome, not the Bowman Chrome draft. In my opinion, this is one of his single best rookie cards. Like, I'd rather own a Bowman Chrome number 175 than a Topps update, than a Bowman Chrome draft, I love the Topps Sterling, but or Bowman Sterling. Wait, Topps or Bowman? I can't remember. Bowman Sterling, I think. Even more so than, I'd rather have this one, though. And the last PSA 9 sold for 24,000, like I said, May 24th, 2021. Nate, how important is it for collectors and investors maybe to understand like how well Mike Trout is playing this year compared to like the entire league?
It is very important, and it's more important, I would say, to realize that when you get a guy and you're looking at his stats and it's a 790 OPS, If you saw a guy with a 790 OPS, Aaron, you'd say to yourself, oh, okay, he's a decent hitter, nothing to write home about. And then you look, and Willie Adames is a 790 OPS with a 130 OPS plus. He's 30% better than league average, because 100 is league average, and 130 means 30% better. 150 would be 50% better. 263 would mean you're 163% better. And so it's important for Mike Trout, but it's important for everyone to realize that there is a lot worse offensive production in the league. And so guys that are performing at what would have been mass standards before are now good hitters. And then when you get good hitters that have always been good, like Mike Trout, who is always outstanding, and he's yet somehow managed to stay outstanding despite the fact that offensive production is down across the league, that's really special.
Yeah, it sure sounds like it. Sure sounds like it. But that's what we got for this week's weekly auction number 15. Great cards. If you do want to place a bid, go to pwccmarketplace.com. You have to go to the weekly auction tab and place all of your qualifying bids before 10 p.m. Eastern time on this Sunday night. We'll be live on YouTube for the FlipQuest episode. Please join us. We'd love to have you. Give away free slabs and us have a great time and talk about the market. Thank you, everyone, for listening to another weekly slab. This was episode number 21. I appreciate you all coming. Talked about some NBA playoffs, talked about some FlipQuest, talk about some soccer. We hope you all have a great rest of your week, a safe weekend, and we will see you all on Sunday night for the FlipQuest episode number 15.